and you didn't start putting in the kind of performances the team expected, you were going to lose your drive. Well, it's happened. As of today, you are no longer an employee of this organisation.
There's only one lap of fuel.
Anywhere near that today. Anthony Davidson is here once again for today's Grand Prix. Let me ask you about Racing Point. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and starting alongside in P2 is Sebastian Vettel. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Leclerc, Bottas, Max Verstappen, and Faber, Butler, Perez, Gasly, and Daniel Ricciardo. Raikkonen, Albon, Lando Norris, and Sainz, Stroll, Magnussen, George Russell, and Daniel Kvyat. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Kubica and Red. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Seeing at least 20 minutes of light rain. one more stop today. One stop left in our... Exit now. Are you okay? That was a big one. Confirm you're okay, please.
That's it for another Grand Prix and a fantastic win for Mercedes. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes. So let's review the updated driver's standings. It's a great result for Lewis Hamilton, who moves further ahead at the top of the table. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
But there's no question in my mind, it has to go to George Russell. What a performance. He's got every right to be proud of what he accomplished out there today.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. Meanwhile, good work from Racing Point this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Bad luck out there today. Let's talk about it. Seems like your rivalry with Devon... That was a good race for Lucas. Your former teammate Lucas... Your car is looking a little beaten up. What happened out there today? Well, thanks anyway.
disappointing, but we just need to push hard in the race and we can still come away with something.
We're all ready for tomorrow's race, but before we begin, let's have a quick look at those who will be fronting the grid. Hamilton, Bottas and Lucas Faber. With qualifying wrapped up, we now have our grid line-up for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race. And it's an absolute pleasure to be joined once again by Anthony Davidson. Can we begin by having a chat about Sergio Perez? As ever, the threat of unreliability is never far away, and indeed they'll be starting out of position today due to a power unit component change. So it's going to be a difficult task to move forward from there.
Everyone has to deal with penalties or reliability issues from time to time throughout their career. You just have to suck up the pain and get on with the job at hand. Today isn't about performing a miracle to put the car back where it should be, it's about effective damage limitation.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Faber, Vettel, Charles Leclerc, Red, Russell, Norris, Magnussen and Alexander Albon, Sainz, Verstappen, Sergio Perez and Raikkonen, Butler, Kvyat, Robert Kubica and Pierre Gasly. Ricciardo and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Race officials have enabled DRS. DRS is now available. target -1. Let's turn the engine down, please. Okay, clear. Caution, the safety car is out. Keep an eye on the Delta. We need to keep it positive to avoid a penalty. Slow down, maintain positive Delta. Right, come in at the end of this lap. Okay, slow down, slow down. Your Delta is negative, which means you are... sooner once these scrub tyres are up to speed. Receive you at the end of this lap. Let's use some of this energy. Increase the ERS deployment. We pretty much burned off our excess fuel. We'll be back on target soon. Don't wait too long to turn the engine down. Pick up rubber and bring it home.
It was a magnificent race and a drive right out of the top draw to take the win for Red Bull today. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Without a doubt, the safety car changed everything today. The key to their success was keeping calm and reacting to the situation quickly. We've seen teams in the past throw away wins because they were too hesitant, but here they were decisive, and that's allowed them to take the advantage.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently. It's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be proud of the victory they secured here. So let's review the updated driver's standings. This result narrows the gap between our championship leader and the rest of the standings. Let's focus on the driver of the day. Anthony Davidson, who do you pick?
Max Verstappen seemed to just effortlessly weave through the other drivers today without a care in the world. He was definitely my driver of choice.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. The lead at the top comes down after a strong weekend from the challenging pack. Meanwhile, a strong weekend from Red Bull this time out, and they improve their position in the championship. Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
told you if you carried on as you were and you didn't start putting in the kind of performances the team expected, you were going to lose your drive. Well, it's happened. As of today, you are no longer an employee of this organization. Lucky for you, one of us is competent. I found you an option elsewhere, and I suggest you take it if you want any hope of salvaging this so-called career of yours. Let's consider the benefits of moving to another team. They didn't like those terms. Let's try again. We're asking for too much here. We need to make some compromises.
Be sure to check your emails for a summary of any resource points you've inherited.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, and starting alongside in P2 is Sebastian Vettel. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Verstappen, George Russell and Norris, Sainz, Perez, Weber and Kimi Raikkonen. Gasly, Hamilton, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Daniel Kvyat and Butler, Magnussen, Kubica, Daniel Ricciardo and Lance Stroll, Albon and Red. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Exit now. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now. Nice work, that brings you up a place. You might want to consider switching to a lower fuel. Release. Gap to teammate ahead is 11.7 seconds. Yellow flag. Well, that's a disappointing result for sure, but we'll try to bounce back at the next one.
Ferrari have really pulled it out of the bag today. It's a great win. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection. A shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
Here come our winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again. So, let's review the drivers' standings. That lead at the top of the table has shrunk somewhat today. Some amazing talent out on the track today. But Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
It's an interesting one today. On balance, I think I have to call out Alexander Albon. A really solid drive from him today, and one that he and his team should be proud of.
Let's move on to the constructors. Our championship leaders retain their position, but their lead is shrinking. Meanwhile, Ferrari have improved their position. A strong weekend from them as they fight their way towards the top. It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action. I can't wait to see what's next.